Let's talk about your first treatment and the actual experience and the journey that you went on. I would love to hear about it. I heard it was incredibly profound.
I was excited and nervous, and then when I sat down, I did not realize, petrified. Interestingly enough, it wasn't about the psychedelic itself. It was the thought of, okay, they keep telling me, I'm going to go in my own mind. And I thought, how many demons could possibly be there? If I'm this sad all the time, and we'll get emotional, then who am I going to see once I get up there? So that's where my fear stemmed from. I was scared to see what was inside. I told you I'd get emotional with this. Okay.
Welcome to the Myself Wellness Podcast. I'm Charles Patti, the voice of Myself Wellness, along with my co-hosts Christina Thomas and Jamie Venziel. 9 years ago, I began my journey to self-awareness and healing. Like many who have faced personal struggles, I felt lost and struggled to find lasting healing. It wasn't until I discovered alternative healing methods that I began to see a real change in my life. This show will help you unlock your true potential through healthy lifestyle practices and transformations. Join us as we explore personal stories, expert advice, and practical tips to help you step into your true potential and level up. Welcome to the Myself Wellness Podcast.
Welcome back to the Myself Wellness Podcast. Today we have Marisa Devicaris, who has become a really amazing friend who has gone through our treatments, and we're so lucky to have her in our life and to share her amazing story of healing.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
And she's going to share her closet too soon, so I'm looking forward to that.
Wishful thinking.
Sharing
Seeing this part.
So we're here
Yeah.
for all the things today.
I love how we met. I love how it was very synchronistic. It was like the universe was aligned, and we were at Brian's birthday party that night.
Yes.
Love Brian and Kristen. And we were kind of just talking about what we did at the clinic. And then it sounded like something that you might be interested in doing. So without me telling your story, before then, like before the night of hearing what we were doing, like how was life and what kind of led up to you thinking that this might be a good idea for you?
So life itself was great on the surface. If you looked at me across the room, I looked like I have it going on. And on the inside, it was a completely different story. So the night that we met in particular was one where my social anxiety was getting the best of me, and I didn't want to go out. But I have been doing a ton of soul searching and a ton of figuring out how to get a handle on my depression that I have struggled with for 48 years. It has always just been right there. My husband has been through this journey of life with me. We met when we were 19. He's very good at, you know what, baby, it's fine. We can stay home. But there was something about that night that we just knew we were supposed to go out. I don't know why, but I've been really on the path of listening to the universe. I was like, just tell me where to go, tell me what to do. And it led me to the dinner. I love that story because I did not want to go. That is first, and it has nothing to, I love Kristen and Brian. My social anxiety was getting the worst of me or the best of me or whatever it is of me. And we sat at that table. It was a long table and there were many empty seats. And I was on the end, and that was on purpose because then I could, control. I had two friends that were right next to me, so I knew I had someone to talk to. And with all of the seats that were available, the two of you sat right across from me and Anthony. And I love that part of the story because it just shows me I was meant to be there. I was meant to hear everything you had to say. I mean, I don't know if you remember my face when you were talking. My jaw was down. I was like, tell me more. Tell me more about what you do. You had me at hello. I was looking for answers. I've done the therapy. I've been in all of the different treatments. I've had therapy, when I was in my teens. I've been on all the medications. I've been on the sleep medications. I would do anything and everything just to get a good night of sleep. Although no matter how much medication you take, there is no great night of sleep that comes with that. So having you across was a very defining moment for me. I started listening more, which again, I came to you, I think almost immediately. Within days, I was in your office. And it was give me a tour, show me everything you've got, and the rest was history.
I love that story, and I love like how it all played out. It's almost like it's like this this common thing or theme that seems to happen with a lot of people that we connect with like this. It's like, I wasn't supposed to be here, and then here I am. Or I was scrolling on my Facebook and I was supposed to be doing something else, and there you were. Even like this guy, Mike, who we became really good friends with. Christina and I were driving down the road one day, and I turned into a parking lot, and she's like, what are you doing? We're supposed to be going to get the car washed. And I'm like, I have no idea why I just turned in here. I said, but the amount of time that it's going to take us to go through this parking lot, I'm either going to bump into somebody that I used to know, or we're going to meet somebody we're supposed to. And we ended up going to the car wash, and I saw this guy who is like tattooed from head to toe, and all of his tattoos were speaking to me. And so like I went up to him and I'm like vibrating, and I'm like, so I know this is going to sound crazy, but I think I'm supposed to meet you right now. And I was like, so I'm just going to tell you what's going on in my life. We'll see if it resonates with you. And I'm like, so we're opening a psychedelic therapy center. And he's like, I just did 5-MeO DMT in Costa Rica last week. We are supposed to be having this conversation. Yep. And he's like, I wasn't even supposed to be at this car wash. I usually get my car washed somewhere else, but something told me to come here today. And so it's like this divinely guided symphony that we don't even know that we're a part of. And then all of a sudden we're there and we're like, oh my gosh, this was completely organized by this greater power.
I think everything, we all say everything happens for a reason. We're not listening all the time. When you do, I think that I now see that God does, there are dots that we just need to connect, right? He's given us a choice whether to connect them or not. And I see that every decision I made led me up to that point. And I was, like I said, very grateful for all the things. I can't wait to get into it.
Yeah.
If everyone in the world could go on the journeys that I have seen for myself, if they can do it as individuals, this would be a beautiful place to live.
I couldn't agree more.
Oh man.
Like before, like we're going to get into it in 2 seconds, but I want everybody to know that like we've been wanting to go out to dinner with Marissa and her husband, and we've like avoided going just so we could film this first and like have like the actual conversation here rather than at dinner before we had the show. But
so this is the first time Charles and I are hearing it. I know she's had some super profound experiences, and I've been wanting. She started telling us in the clinic, and I was like, man, I wish there was a camera here.
Right.
So we were like,
so right.
Let's just do the show.
Not listening. Totally.
So I guess let's start off with what was your experience coming to the clinic, like even starting off before the journeys, like how was all of that for you?
Before I walked into your office, or upon walking into your office and meeting your staff?
Upon walking into the office.
It's very hard to explain. I will try my best to articulate what it's like to walk into what it's that East and West come together. It is a beautiful moment. You know that there is, Dr. Ferber is there, and your nurses are on staff. And I saw that I was going to be hooked up, right? They were monitoring my heart rate, and they were making sure that in body I was fine to go through what I was going through. I've never been in an establishment like that where I know the science is there. I felt so welcomed. Everyone was smiling and happy. They greeted you like they knew you belonged there, even if you walk in with some doubt, you're not sure yet. It was a very welcoming moment for me. So I appreciated that. Even by the time they took, me in the back room and questions were being asked from Jess and all, it was just a very calm, beautiful experience. I mean, even talking about it, I just went, right? Because it was quite magical.
That's beautiful.
It was.
I love to hear that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We do that a lot. Thank you.
So let's talk about your first treatment and the actual experience and the journey that you went on. I would love to hear about it. I heard it was incredibly profound.
Wait, back up though. Were you nervous before your first
Very
treatment?
much so.
Okay.
And I did not think I would be. I don't have a past with drugs, right? I don't think I have a past with alcohol, although that's a hard thing to I think it's a hard bridge to cross when you are depressed, because you do tend to gravitate towards whatever's going to quiet the mind, right, in the moment. I have done psychedelics in my teens, which is very different than anything we're talking about right now. So I was excited and nervous. And then when I sat down, I did not realize, petrified. Interestingly enough, it wasn't about the psychedelic itself. I felt comfortable in the chair. I felt comfortable with Gina. She's amazing, by the way. It was the thought of, okay, they keep telling me, I'm going to go in my own mind. And I thought, how many demons could possibly be there? If I'm this sad all the time, and we'll get emotional, then who am I going to see once I get up there? So that's where my fear stemmed from. I told you I'd get emotional with this.
Okay.
It's okay.
Yeah, no, in the best way. I've never cried so many happy tears or cried sad tears where it's just an emotion. So I was scared of myself. I knew I was like safe, if that makes sense. I knew it. I saw it. It was clear. I was scared to see what was inside.
The fear of the unknown.
Yes. Very much so.
Yeah.
I mean, it's for me, it's so dark in there, right? But it's not. That's just the critic trying to convince you something bad's going on, but it's not.
For sure.
I had a lot of great stuff in there.
So let's talk about it.
Ooh, okay. Just
Give
like
it
from
to
the
us.
beginning. Okay. So out of order, and then if you want me to move on, just tell me when to move on or whatnot. So, of course, you don't know what to expect. You're going into your own mind for the first time. I immediately left the chair and I ended up in my backyard. And I understand now the way I am interpreting, well, it is clearly, right? They're all my interpretations. I was in my safe space. I have a couch back there and I was looking up at the stars, and you could have paid me $1 million and I would have said, I am not in the chair right now. I am in my backyard. So I had this I recognized a tree, quite frankly. It's a beautiful tree. She looks like a dancer to me and I'm a dancer. So that was fun. Then I equate it to the movie The Matrix, or to, is the Scarlett Johansson one Lucy?
Lucy.
Is that what that? Okay.
Yeah.
So I know those two movies, right? They're up there. So my body started to, like a set of quick, like Legos. I was becoming one, and I didn't know what I was becoming one with. So mind you, I was scared. I was like, holy cow, what is happening right now? I watched everything until it got to here. And I, in my mind and maybe out loud, because I know I did speak out loud for many of it, I said, Anthony. And he said, I'm right here. And I just went, okay. And then it never came above. So I was good. I was fine. And then let the show begin. So I am in a sea of lights traveling like a Star Trek video, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I immediately, by the way, know that I am safe. I know that I am loved. There is nothing, and it was dark with the lights speeding by me. I think my brain was trying to figure out, where do I go first with you? I'm a very complicated creature. Where do I go first? So I ended up, again, I equate these all with things on this planet, that like a Cheshire cat of a bubble came out, and it was my mom's face. And I did like oh, hi, Mom. What are you doing here? And then my dad popped in, and it made me feel so at peace. I went, okay, like we've got this. And then let the fun begin. My mom aged backwards. And then the two of us were back up in her belly. And I was immediately reborn with my mother right beside me. So the backstory there is, my mom and I understand now, and I have empathy now. I was her first, and she came from a place of, which I understand now, she did not know what to, lack of a better word, do with me. I was a sad child. I was like this all the time. I mean, I had no idea what to do with my emotions. And quite frankly, whatever she tried wasn't working. And there wasn't therapy back then, right? And we were Italian, so you didn't talk about your feelings and you didn't do all the things. The fact that my mother, and we are golden now. I mean, she has been on this journey of life with me. She knows me inside and out. I am transparent with all the things I've tried and everything that they're putting me on and all, right? So to have her back in there with me, I knew it was a rebirth for the two of us. She is such a big part of my life. And I knew that she had me for the rest of the show called life. And it was present in all 6 of my journeys from there on out. So I literally watched myself reborn.
Wow.
That is awesome.
It was, I mean, talk about like, boom, there you are, like in her uterus. It was like, but again, not scared, not overwhelmed. I was so at peace, and it made sense that she would have been with me. And then it was, you know, I was reborn for real, watched the whole thing happen. And then the rest of the journey began. Wow. For me, I was in this bubble. I call it like a bobsled. And when my brain wanted to go somewhere else, the bobsled like flipped and like zoomed me into another part of my universe. So that's all I got out of that particular section. And then I was zoomed elsewhere.
Is your mom still alive?
Yes.
Okay.
So
usually people see dead people. So it's just,
I did not.
Yeah.
I did not see. So interesting, because I did not see anyone that passed. I did like a hope and I hope I see grandma and grandpa kind of thing. And no. So I had my dad's face and my mom's face, and then their presence. They weren't with me in body or in face. I knew the entire time my mom was next to me.
Interesting.
One of the like great things about the experience that you just described was people, like when we have people talk about these kind of experiences, or I try to describe my experiences to people, and it's as profound as what you just described, people are like, that sounds crazy. Like, that sounds too scary for me. Like, that sounds like too much. But you emphasized, I felt safe though, the whole time.
Always. Even when I thought in the very beginning I was afraid, that could have completely consumed me. I would have been fine. There were things that I needed to see. Being reborn was not one that it did not cross my mind, because I can emphasize again, I saw it all. It was beautiful. It was so beautiful. My second chapter, I am here for all of it.
How did you come out of that session feeling?
In its entirety?
Yeah.
So I never journaled immediately after. I always went home to go to sleep. And then I woke up and everything was vivid. It was, I felt a sense of peace like I had never experienced before in my life for 48 years. Because then actually, if it's okay, I'll go into the next portion, which will also explain why I felt the way I felt at the very end. So for 48 years, I would get up in the morning and make a decision, and I had to. In order for me to be in this world, I had to choose to be happy. It was a conscious effort. Like, okay, because I would wake up and I knew I didn't get any sleep. And my first thought was, you're exhausted. It's going to be you're tired again today, Marissa. You know, this is the day you're going to have, but fight through it. You've got 3 kids. You've got a husband. You've got a job, all the things. In there, this is, for me, the coolest part. So back in my woods, right, in the backyard, and a tree figure came to life and started dragging me through the forest. And it was dark. I was watching this happen, but I was also down below trying to grab my feet. I needed to make sure that he did not take me. And it was me he was dragging. Follow that?
Wow.
So I was like, dun dun dun. So I'm watching, and I keep grabbing, and I cannot catch up. For the life of me, I cannot catch up. And I can still see the stick figure. And I can still see, I could feel actually how I knew I had to grab my feet. I knew I had to save myself. And then I knew I didn't. I don't know why. I remember my hands went, fine. Like, you can take it then. I watched myself get sucked out of the universe that was mine, and I never saw the stick figure or that version of myself again. When I went to sleep that night, I didn't realize I didn't take sleep medication. That was number 1. When I woke up the next morning, I said to my husband, is this what it feels like? And he said, is this what feels like? And I said, to feel nothing. And he was like, what do you mean you feel nothing? I went, no. Like, is this what it feels like to not have to choose happiness? I'm just like, hey, what do you want to do today? Right? I'm not begrudgingly getting out of bed. I was so angry every morning. My kids do not speak to me until I've had my coffee, because I just needed to wrap my head around what this difficult day was going to look like, because it was already going to be difficult. Nope. I woke up that morning and I went, okay, this is new and different. I don't feel sad. I don't feel angry. I took my medication that morning. The next morning, I had a habit. It's right where it's supposed to be, so I know what to take and all the things. That was the last time I took it because I didn't remember after that. So I watched my depression. For me, I was trying so hard to hold on to a piece of me. I was so scared of letting that. I've identified with that woman for 48 years. Who could I possibly be? What am I bringing to the table? If not, I battle with depression. I battle with this. I mean, that's been my identity for a very long time, whether it's with therapists or with friends or listen, I can't go out tonight because I'm feeling a certain way about it. So how did I feel? Confused when I came home because I had never felt so light. Something was different and I couldn't put my finger on it yet. How could I? I didn't know. Once I started journaling and I looked on paper about the person who was being dragged and why did you want to hold her so tightly and how, like when I astro projected out of there, in that ketamine moment, I went and knew. Done and done. See you later. Have never looked back. And that's journey number 1. I'm at rebirth. I'm at goodbye depression. And we haven't even gotten started on the other things. That is journey number 1.
Wow.
Colors, fun, sure. Red, pink. I saw them. I looked it up and all the things. That stick man, I could still see him. Thanks, buddy.
Or bye, buddy.
And bye. Yeah. Thank you and goodbye. You are not wanted here anymore.
That is incredible.
It felt pretty
I was
incredible
tearing
too.
up.
Wow. What
Yeah,
a journey.
That takes a lot.
Every time it's interesting. I have told that to my closest people, my mom, my dad, my sister, my best friend, clearly my husband and my family. And I've cried every single time I've told that story. To tell it now, it's interesting. The joy, because it feels good. I feel it in the best way. I've never felt the way I feel sitting here right now, not in 48 years.
That's
Thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you.
A lot of people.
Thank you.
A lot of people don't know this, but this, like the symbol the myself wellness symbol that looks like the thumbprint,
Our logo
our logo. Yes.
on your shirt.
Yeah.
On my cup. On our
This
cup.
right here.
Wait, that?
It's actually an ancient symbol of rebirth.
Of course it is.
And a lot of our clients have these rebirth experiences. And it's like not in like a religious sense or anything, but like I really feel like this is what they were talking about when it's like you're being reborn in a way. It's like it's the death of the old you and it's the birth of the new you, the one that doesn't have to keep struggling through the days and identifying with this trauma and all of the symptoms that you're experiencing. So I think this is just amazing.
Yeah, we say goodbye to the suffering.
Yeah.
And I welcome all the other things.
So I'm excited to hear more.
Want to keep going?
Yes, 100%. Like this is incredible.
So I think what was super interesting is, like I said, I started and I was laying on the couch in my backyard, looking up at the stars, understanding, by the way, there was just an understanding that we are one. I just got it. And I did not come from a place, I knew I was spiritual. I knew I believed something must be out there, right? There's a greater, I now understand. I mean, I find it hard that anyone can put into words. We are all one. We are all connected, from the stars to the leaf to the rug fiber. I mean, it was made very clear from the moment I got in there that we are all connected. So I found that part to be fun in that every one of my journeys, I would go in, the 4 walls, like a box, they were always dressed in, whether it was a fabric, and I would crunch the blanket because I knew I could like feel the texture of the walls. It was bushes. I was one with nature. I was one with everything. It just was like, you just knew that there was something greater in there with you and you were being shown the right way. So in the beginning, I was looking up and then my little bobsled would push me in a different direction. I entered a room. I don't know if there were 3 or 5 people. It was 3 or 5. They were in a U shape And I entered and I wasn't afraid of anyone. They did not have faces. And I just walked in and I went, hi, my personality. I was like, what's up? What brought you all here today? You know, because that's who I am. And they stared with no faces. And I was not afraid because I knew they were my people. I just didn't know who they were. And I said, I can't see you. Want to come closer? Oh, this is like the part where, so they come in, and you know how you want to be excited and I'm about to tell you who they were? Nope, bobsled was like, and put me in another place. And I was like, it was a cliffhanger. And I thought, come on. And that was journey number 1. And I thought I would see who they were. I was never meant to. They're my guides. They were showing me that they were there with me. I didn't have to see them because I felt them. If that makes sense. Again, they were with me for all of them. I could always see them inside. So climb. I got to the point where I was, how do I explain this part? So it always showed me, like I said, that I was one with the fabric of life, for lack of a better phrase right there. So the whether it was the bushes or the crunchy fabric, whatever it was always moving. By the way, it was never stagnant. It was always moving. It would envelop my body up to the point where I would end up going up until I was like a molecule. Like it was, if that's the right word right there, I was a part of the experience going on in there because I am a part of this universe and we are all connected. So that was made clear in every single one. What's cool is eventually I got to that bird's eye view. And I think that was the beginning of my second one, where I was already looking down at everyone and different experiences were going on in there, and we'll talk about it. The cool thing is eventually, I think it was my 4th or 5th, I was above the clouds and I knew I was where I belonged. I just knew it. I was running on the clouds. It was a game that I had played before. I was hopping. I knew that down below were everyone's human problems. And I was up above kind of just playing. And I had this moment where I'm watching myself, watching everyone. And I was watching myself through a lens that I had never seen myself through before. Someone who has battled all of the depression and has put on this facade for the world. I had never seen myself as superficially beautiful in any way whatsoever. There was no beauty. I'm always overweight. I could always be better. I'm not a good mother. I'm not a great wife. And I just looked at myself in there and thought, how beautiful are you? Looking down, in all your glory, life is good in here. And I took a deep breath and I went again. There was something about these arms and I just was like, whoosh. And when I did, there will never be a way for me to describe the wings that came out of my back. They were glorious. They were beautiful. I was an angel and I was his. I just knew it. And again, I am not a Bible reader. I am not in anything. Kind of like, it is very hard for me to explain, but very easy for me to understand because it's in my heart, it's in my mind, it flows through my system now on a daily basis. He is with me all the time. So, does that make sense?
100%.
It was beautiful.
Wow.
It was
that is
beautiful,
incredible.
Beautiful. I knew my role. I knew my purpose, and that was to guide, and that was to help. And that was cool because that's what my professions have been down here. So it was nice. It gave me some sort of, that a girl, you're doing the right thing. So that was fun.
This is incredible.
Yeah, I don't even know what questions to ask. My mind is just blown right now.
No, it's like
wait till I get to number 5.
But it's like it's like the whole like ability to live 2 lives during one lifetime.
Yep.
And I mean, and like that's really what it is. It's like I try to, like, when people come in and they're just like, why have I been dealt this hand? God hates me. It's unfair. I went through the same thing.
Yeah,
I'm just like, how come I can't just be like everybody else? And then all of a sudden you finally get to that point where it's like, oh my gosh, I went through all of this suffering because I found my purpose in it and now I get to help people.
Right.
That's like the biggest, like, to me, that's like one of the biggest blessings ever. Because it's like, oh my gosh, my life finally makes sense. It didn't forever and now I get it now. And then the whole angel experience.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
right.
actual earth
We hear
angel. I love
so
it.
many stories, and I've never heard that one before.
No, that's
Oh,
fantastic.
I brought a new one.
You did.
Well, that's the other thing I think that's so beautiful. I had this conversation with my best friend. I can't call her just my friend because she is my soul sister. So she's like my 12-year-old best friend. And everything I said, she would ask. She was skeptical. And I kept explaining to her, no, these are my experiences. These are, you can't, not everybody sees this. Not everybody sees that. And that's when she bought in to what I was doing. She was like, this is fantastic. She goes, if you told me everybody sees the angels, everybody's in a time warp, she was like, Marissa, I was able to convince her that this is pretty damn cool.
It's like this whole rebirth triggered you into like the higher version of yourself.
Very much so.
Which is just like, I mean, that's what it's all about.
I said the dots are there. You just have to be ready to connect them. And I was not ready a year ago or 2 years ago or 10 years ago. And so I can't be mad at my journey anymore, right? I can't be mad at chapter 1 because chapter 1 made me who I am in order to go through the door unafraid of chapter 2.
It's profound.
Trying to explain to people that you've been perfect the whole time.
Yes.
You've been perfect the entire time, even when you were suffering and going through it all, because it was just another thing that you had to go through to evolve into the person that you are today.
Absolutely. And my critic was very loud back then. I know I'm working on it. I mean, I think every day is a work, we're all work in progress, but I can quiet her down now. Gina taught me to say, thank you for being there when I needed you. You are no longer of service, and it's a bless and release. I say it often.
She's so good.
She's so good.
She's great.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. I like to listen to, I call it my gut, but I know it's my soul. I know it's all here.
Have you seen any improvements in your gut? Just curious, because I know you suffer
For the
with
celiac?
Yeah.
Not yet.
Just
I
curious.
wouldn't, I
don't
can't-
know.
You know what's interesting?
But it's too scary to try, right?
That's exactly what it is. Like I say not yet, but it's like, I don't know. I don't know. And I know that there are a lot of, there are many of the healers, the sound, when you were on a panel that I watched, right? And it was funny because our friend was asking the questions for me, and everyone seems to believe that this really could be a healing moment for the gut. I can't see how it wouldn't be. You go back in time, and a lot of these ailments and things we're suffering with, and the everything, it's a product of man, not a you know what I mean? Like we did this to ourselves. Now I want to rewind, but maybe
It's too scary to try though.
it's bad. Like it's very bad to get gluten, so I'm not
Yeah.
there yet.
I feel
But
you.
maybe
Okay.
I'm not ruling it out either, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I'll take it. It'd be amazing.
I accidentally got gluten not that long ago, and it wasn't even from anything good. And I was like, man, I wish it was just like a donut or a piece of cake
Or like a really good
cookie.
piece of bread at that
Right?
point. Like just, yeah, no.
I used different tacos. I used different taco seasoning than we normally use, and it wasn't gluten free like the other one.
Yeah, it was so not even worth it.
It was like
I was so upset.
brutal.
Right? Wasn't even on like a flour taco.
No, I know.
So, I mean, tell me more.
Tell you more.
Yeah.
So that, by the way, is just that's the first journey.
Like, this is incredible.
Come out
That's
of
a
that
lot.
and go, wait,
Yeah.
I was really nervous for you because you're so tiny, and then they told me what they gave you, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope she comes back.
Well, it's funny because you want to know what my thought was. So I have 3 children, and my oldest is a redhead, and I had no idea that red ran in my family, and I knew that it ran in Anthony's. And with redheads, they require more of anything.
Anesthesia.
Yeah. So in my mind, like you were afraid they were going to overdose me, and
Yeah,
was
I just
afraid
thought
I'd
you were going to be
underdosed.
scared.
It takes a lot. I kept saying like, do I have to tell them I'm going to need like a horse tranquilizer? Because it takes a lot to get this girl to go down. I mean, again, I've also, between the sleep meds and the meds they've put me on, and I expected to not go where I went. So this was again, it's all been a blessing. But yeah, no, you got it. You're spot on. You were spot on. They knew what they were doing.
We had a conversation earlier about like ketamine being an intelligent molecule, and it might not necessarily give you what you want as much as it gives you what you need. Did you find that?
Yes, absolutely. I don't think we know what we want. We have listened to this critic I know it's the ego and all but we've listened to that voice for so long. It's so negative. So how could you possibly know what you need to heal, right? We think we do. That's why we're taking the pills that are prescribed and all the other things that we're trying. But no, I would have said, I want to see my grandparents, right? Of course I need to see them. I was very close with them when they were here. Well, I didn't need to. I knew, and I know we're good, right? They're with me. I see them all the time and the butterflies and all the things that I know that they come back to visit. So very much so, more of a need, not a want.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So like that was number one.
Yeah.
I'm interested to hear about number two.
Yeah, that felt like a long one for number one.
Yeah.
I realized
That's a lot. Like
That was a lot. That's a lot in 45 minutes.
Well, that's the thing too,
that's how long
because you're
the
like, how long
treatment
are
is.
you in there for? And I kept saying 45 minutes. Like that was it. But I was in there for an eternity. There was a lot for me to see. I was also a skeptic. Like, again, I listened to this person for a very long time. So then I knew what was right and wrong. I would have told you what I wanted to see, not what I needed to see. I think all of that needed to happen for me to be able to open up my mind, my space, and really, like I said, step through the doorway into the rest of what I would see. Without the rebirth, I think it would have been very different. Without getting rid of that depression, that was 48 years. And in session one, it's gone. If you told me that would have happened, I would have called you a liar. There was no way. But I needed to be gone. That needed to be the first thing that I conquered in order to be able to receive everything else that came next. So your journey happens in the order it is supposed to. And absolutely, I stand by that. It happens exactly the way it's supposed to.
That's incredible. I love it.
How's life changed?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So it all starts with self-love, right? So, and I preach it all the time, but I wasn't living in it. I was showing other people how to love themselves. That was part of what I do in empowering women, right? Set up your boundaries. These are your values. Talk about what's, you hold yourself sacred and all the things. And I was not doing that for myself. Since I have chosen me, all of my relationships are exactly where they're supposed to be. And it's not selfish. It is that self-love allows other people to understand your love language. It allows yourself to be open about what your boundaries are. Are we in alignment or not? And then I'm at peace with it because I cannot care how you feel about me on a daily basis. I've got enough on my plate. If I know I'm a good person and I'm bringing that to the table, then how you feel shouldn't affect what's going on in all of this, right? So that has changed drastically for me. My kids will tell you they have a much better version of me as a mom. Mm-hmm. My husband and I've been with Anthony since we were 19. We pride ourselves in the bond that we have. We are each other's people. This has taken us to a whole other level of, in that spirituality, in that love, we look into each other's eyes and you just see something different. For fun, I walk into a room now where people haven't seen me and what did you do differently? What is different about you? And they look, what is different? Did you do your hair? No. Makeup different? No. Same colors, same all the things. They can't put a finger on it. And then I'm told the whites in my eyes are whiter, but they don't know what I've been through. So it's a funny, you just sit back like, I know, like it's just such a great version of me.
It's hard to explain to people, but like when you try to say one of the most selfless things that you can do is actually be selfish and take care of yourself.
Exactly it.
Because this is like where it does ripple out into your outside relationships. If I'm taking care of myself and making sure that my cup is full,
right,
then I get to be there and come appropriately and accordingly for everybody else.
Mm-hmm. That's what I used to say. Like everyone else, right? Self-love is not selfish. It's selfless. So it's exactly it.
100%.
If you hadn't met us and somebody said, go do ketamine treatments, what would you have said to them?
That's hard.
Like, would you have accepted it or have people accepted it?
Were you open-minded to something like this before or after the conversation with us?
I was open-minded to it before because I had started working on myself. Had I been in the situation where I was still angry, I would have been like, yeah, okay, go do drugs. Like, I mean, I wouldn't have, you know what I mean? I wouldn't have like even given it a hot second. But I had started with, a burn ceremony to sever the ties that I had with someone else. And someone taught me that. And I thought that was interesting. By doing that, that led me to human design. Human design led me to researching and becoming more open. Becoming more open led me to go to dinner. There could be a reason why you need to be at that table. You sat down, the rest is history. Wow. So yes, I was open to it. I was already on the journey. So if someone popped in at that table and said, hey, did you know that there's a ketamine clinic in Bonita? I still would have been at your door. So yes, I was open to it. Does that answer? Yeah. Before I wasn't healing, by the way. I was going through the motions. I was trying, but the weight of that depression was still right. I mean, look, I almost didn't go to the dinner that night, So I was trying. I don't know if I would have, I don't know, actually. I mean, I wanted so badly to be healed. And I knew that it had to come from me. There was no medication that was going to take away my pain. Mm-hmm. There was nothing anyone else could do. Whether or not I ended up at your place, I guess it would be who told the story.
Yeah.
For sure.
The experience that they brought or he or she brought to the table, I would have taken that into consideration.
When you told people that you were doing it, was there any people that were like, oh, you sure you want to do that?
No. Here's why. Because when I set my mind to something, and again, the research was that I'm an English teacher in my former life. The research was there, and it was wow. I did my due diligence on you, on Dr. Ferber, on all the things ketamine. And so when I presented it and I'm still a child at heart when it comes to my parents, I do care about, that I want them to see me in love and light. And I knew that would be my biggest hurdle. My husband was game on. My children were like, wait, what are you doing? But I tell them all the things. I mean, they're older. I actually think the age doesn't matter. You tell your kids, right? Whatever you want to tell your kids, whatever is age appropriate in your lens. My parents, I thought, would be a little hesitant. They've been on this journey with me and they've seen me at my worst. And they knew there was nothing they could do for me. To see me turn a slight corner, I can't even say like I'd fully pivoted. I was like trying so hard to go in the direction of healing. They were already on board. So when I said ketamine, my dad, I did a little like, you saw his face like, And my mom was just, what's that? She's so innocent. She doesn't know about any of the things. And then I started explaining it and they immediately went, we trust you and we know you're going to make the right decision. And that was it. Then it was, tell us how it went. Tell us how the appointment was with the doctor. I mean, they're calling constantly to ask all the right questions. So
that's incredible.
Yeah, no one gave me pushback. But I also, again, I research first. So there's no pushback. I've already told you all the good things. It's going to heal me.
One thing I want to put an emphasis on, because it's actually been coming up a lot in my life, so it's a reoccurring thing, which means that I'm supposed to talk about it, is that, and Christina and I had this conversation the other night too, is that, there's this quote from Woody Allen, not that I think Woody Allen's so amazing, but the thing is that 85% of life is just showing up. Okay. And so it's like, we were going to an event the other night and we were excited to be going. And then Christina needed her dress it had some wrinkles in the back. And she's like, well, you hit the back of my dress with the steamer real quick. And of course, I'm not a professional steamer.
You burned the crap out of her leg.
I burned her leg a little bit. And she's just like,
bit.
It was, yes, or a little bit more than a little bit. But she was like, I'm pushing through it. I'm going. And like, we're going to make the best of it. And we went. And then we ended up having some amazing conversations with people that will probably ripple into these, elevations in our network and just what we're going to be doing with our company and things like that. And like, I always notice with my personal journey that whenever my internal dialogue is like, oh man, like you don't want to go to this, like you could just stay home or whatever. And then I end up going that specific time. It's some sort of breakthrough. It's some sort of level up. It's like the test of the universe. Like, are you going to push through it? Are you going to be a warrior and show up? And so like, I think that that's a really important message for people is like, don't ever give up, like, and push yourself through those hard times, because you never know if you getting up and going to wherever your internal being is fighting you from going to, it could be the night that ends up changing your life.
So can I piggyback that story?
Please.
So for my chapter 5, that was the keep moving one. That was the message of do not remain stagnant. Stop sitting around and waiting for life to come to you, right? You've got to keep moving and keep going. So in this particular journey, I found myself, so at this point, I learned that I'm a mover and a shaker when I'm in the chair. I did not know that, Jess was coming in and lifting me up. And, I signed the waiver, take the thing off, like, because I'm Italian, and apparently in there I am too. So it's totally fine.
We talk with our hands.
Hey, forget about it. Yeah. So they put a bed out for me and then had, all the pillows around or whatever. And which was interesting because the journey before I had asked myself to change perspective. It was all about looking at things from a different point of view here in this body. And then I remember thinking, I wonder if I have to be in the chair. And I came in and I opened the door and I said, do you do this for everyone? And they were like, no, you're a mover and a shaker. And I was like, oh, okay, totally, that's me. Special. And so in there, piggybacking on the keep moving. So I saw, as I was laying, I started crying. And I realized I was crying on the outside and on the inside. So I was crying in this universe and I was crying in my universe. And I felt and I saw all of the generational sadness came rushing up. Like it was like, right? And it went like through me. And I was on the ground. First, actually, I was on the ground like this. And I started crying. And I could feel the tears, even though I knew I was not on a bed because I was in my own place. And I wasn't sad when I was crying. I just said to myself, holy bananas, you're never going to stop. And I thought, but why? Why am I never going to stop crying? So I found myself, I turned over into the fetal position, tears still running, and there was a drain. And my tears, which were weighted, I could see them and I could feel them coming off of me, were going down the drain. And that generational sadness, right, came through me. And I thought, whoa, I am crying for generations of sadness, generations of depression. This is not just you, right? This is something that's been passed on. And then I thought I had an epiphany in there. And I went, oh my gosh, I'm going to help my daughter because my daughter struggles with what I did struggle with. And I thought, I've got her. This is easy. I'm healing myself while I'm in here. I'm going to help her. I can come out of this. It's all going to be great. But I couldn't stop crying. So then I was crying so much, I think I started laughing because like I said, it wasn't depression crying. I wasn't in my closet under all of my clothes wishing I wasn't here anymore. It felt like I was getting rid of all of this weight. And when I started laughing, that's when the true epiphany I was meant to have came through, which was, you're not here to fix her. You're not here to take it away. You're here to gain the tools you need to give them to your daughter. So if I have these tools, if I have a toolkit and I understand, okay, at 48 years old, this is what I would have loved to have said to me when I was a child, or, to name it, it doesn't matter. I knew in that moment, my job was to give the toolkit to my daughter. She likes to laugh because I said out loud, Olivia, this ends with us. And she's like, that's a movie. It's like, well, that wasn't what I meant. What I meant was, we're done pretending. We're done being a shell of who we are or meant to be. And in that moment, when I knew I wasn't here to fix her, I was here to give her the tools, my world down the drain turned into this turquoise. Again, it was always all four walls. They were turquoise, like fish scales, like all along the wall. And it went like all around me. And then my tears started rising until I was submerged underwater. And so I'm watching it and I know I'm fine, but I also know there's only so long you can hold your breath. And I was aware of that while I was underwater. So my daughter and I have said, I passed down that component of depression, right, to her. We have been on a path for, with her, 19 years. And when she came out of a facility, she kept saying, and I knew this when she was there, when I was allowed to talk to her, sorry, she said, she had no access to the internet, no access to outside world. She was in a room, right? In a building. And she kept saying, I'm drawing jellyfish. And I don't know why I'm drawing jellyfish. It's like, okay, me either. But when we got off the Zoom call, the English teacher started doing the research. And the jellyfish means rebirth and renewal. You know, it goes with the waves. It's a beautiful creature. So she said, when I come home, I want to that's my first tattoo. And I am anti-tattoos. I am like, girl, you're not getting a tattoo because I'm not getting a tattoo. All of this will make sense in a minute. So here is the tattoo. So on her 19th birthday, we both got the jellyfish. Mine has the 5 hearts for my family. Hers is more like kid cool over here. And, totally awesome.
I have one of those too.
There you go. You're cooler than me. So as I'm underwater, under my tears, holding my breath, my jellyfish comes to life and starts swimming up. It was beautiful. And I was in a sea of them. And I was mesmerized. It was like, holy cow, you are beautiful. I could stay down here forever. I can't hold my breath forever. So what am I going to do? And I heard, keep moving. And I said, thanks, Grandpa. Because that's what he used to say when he was alive all the time to all of us. And we didn't really know what he meant. It was always, you just got to keep moving. You just got to keep going. You just put one foot in front of the other. And it all just made sense in that moment. And I came up and I got my breath and it was a beautiful sea of keep moving. So I agree. You cannot get out of your own way. Get up. You've got to go. There's no more sitting. And sitting puts you in your head, and putting yourself in your head exacerbates your depression and all the things that you shouldn't be thinking about in the first place. Life is too good to let it go by.
Yes.
So keep moving is a key one.
Yes. Manifestations never come to fruition without action behind them.
There you go.
It's like you can't just sit on the couch and meditate your dreams to life. You have to actually get up and go. So,
and we should participate in this gift we've been given, right? I mean, again, the tools are here. We just have to, I believe once you find that true connection, it's very easy to connect the dots. It's very easy to start listening. You hear him everywhere. So, no more sitting.
So what would you say to somebody that was sitting on the fence about doing these kind of treatments, or that was scared, or if they, this is a horse medicine, or like all of those kind of stigmas that are attached to this? What would you say to somebody like that?
I don't know if you're gonna like my answer. The stigmas are only there because we've been told from Big Pharma and all the places, right? You can't possibly function without this pill. You can't possibly function unless you take this to go to sleep. I would say that it takes work, that this is not a one-all, fix-all. You don't walk in, get a treatment and go, oh my God, this is great. I'm never gonna have to do anything again. It does not work like that.
It's the beginning of the journey.
It's just the beginning.
Yes.
And you have to be open to said beginning, right? You have to put in the work. I meditate daily, or at least I try to. My version, I'm still, again, trying to quiet the critic and all the things. My daughter will go through this. She's 19. We already know this is a done deal for her. She has to show me she's putting in the work. She has to show me she's being mindful. She's practicing on the daily. She has to show me she's meditating. She has to show me. So for those that are on the fence, I would ask, quite frankly, why? Why would you be on the fence? It works. You do not have to live in that sea of despair another day longer. Open yourself up to the possibility. There's more here. There's more. Listen, I think there's more exploration to do. For me, it's not through ketamine anymore, right? Because I did it. I would tell someone to take a chance on themselves. They're preventing themselves from being the person they're supposed to be here. They're letting that evil critic get in the way. Listen to your heart. Your heart wants to rule. Just doesn't know how to, because we've been told to, we used to say all the time, listen to your gut. And then it was, but what are you thinking? Tell me what you're thinking. It's like, no, I don't want to hear what you're thinking. want to hear what's coming from here. So shut this up, start listening to this, and take a chance on yourself. It's worth it.
Well, that was another amazing episode.
One more question. What's your message to the world?
Oh, wow.
Come on. You got to have a message for the world, right? It doesn't have to be a long one, or it could be.
You stumped me because we've talked about it would have been about it. You stumped me. It would have been about self-love. I think that is something we don't understand as humans. We give and we give and we give. And in order to be the best mom, we can't possibly think about ourselves. And to be the best wives, we can't possibly think about ourselves. We come first. You come first. So again, take the journey, focus on yourself. Everything falls into place after that. It's a very interesting moment. You think if you focus on here, the rest will, I don't even know, become chaos. It's not. It's the complete and utter opposite.
It's an inside job.
It's an inside job.
Healing is an inside job.
I love that. Okay, can I take that as my message?
100%.
No, it's great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for being so open and sharing all of that.
This is one of my favorite podcasts.
Yeah, me too.
We can do another one because I have more.
Cool. For sure.
Well, thank you again for being here today.
Thank you.
And if nobody's told you that they love you lately, we
do.
Have a blessed day, everyone.